Hello property navigators. Are you an investor looking for the top performing growth suburbs with the strongest cash flow potential? Well, we have the best 5 suburbs in Greater Brisbane's southern and eastern suburbs between the price range of $700,000 to $850,000. Our team here at Property Navigation have done the research and data analysis to select the suburbs we're going to talk about today. Now, to demonstrate the sheer power of using research and property data, I'll explain the qualification criteria our team have followed. Search area and type of property. We analysed the historical and current property data trends for southeast Queensland's over 500 residential suburbs to narrow down the search for the best suburbs, starting with the general area and property type. Now, for this search, we are only looking at the Greater Brisbane area's southern and eastern suburbs. This qualified 162 suburbs by price range. We then searched and selected only those suburbs whose median sale price for houses fits within the chosen price range of $700,000 to $850,000 for houses in the suburb. This reduced our 162 suburbs down to 27. Current market conditions favourable for buyers or sufficient stock on market. We further limited the search to those suburbs where current market conditions favour potential buyers or where there is sufficient stock on the market to enable us to negotiate a good price if there are no suburbs with conditions favourable to buyers. This filtered down from 27 suburbs to 18. Flood-prone suburbs which otherwise would meet the selection criteria were then excluded from further consideration, leaving 16 suburbs remaining. As there were no suburbs with strong imminent price growth potential, we restricted the search to those suburbs with moderate imminent market-driven price growth potential. I'll explain the per annum growth rate this type of market represents a little later in the video. This means we've halved it from 16 suburbs down to 8. We finally reduced the suburbs down to the top 5 with the best possible cash flow. Now, the 3 local government areas of Brisbane City, the Redlands and Logan City contain the top 5 suburbs our team have selected, which in alphabetical order are Capalaba, Forest Lake, Heritage Park, Tanamara and Victoria Point. Let's take a dive into why and kick off with the current market conditions for potential buyers and sellers. Now, firstly, before we get into this, a bit of analysis and some general FYI. Buying a property that is typical for an area is a form of demand insurance. For this reason, we can see a low and a high buy price range for houses in the selected suburbs, within which typical properties will generally be priced. Buying a property within this price range means that your property should be fairly typical and easier to rent now and then sell later. This is because renters and buyers will have certain expectations for property attributes when they look in an area, such as the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, floor area, or land size, and will prefer properties which meet their expectations. For example, property buyers or renters looking for properties in a suburb which typically has 3-bedroom houses with 1 bathroom will not be attracted to a dwelling which has 4 or more bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and maybe even a pool or any other improvement. Not only will this property be valued and rented at a much higher price, it is not what buyers and tenants expect to find in the area, at least until some kind of gentrification has occurred. Housing finance providers will also usually set upper loan limits which are based around the median price in a suburb. So buyers might find it more difficult to obtain sufficient finance for properties where the prices exceed that of a typical comparable property. It is also important for you to know that this information is based on typical properties, which means that they may not be accurate for atypical properties such as those priced outside the buy price range provided. Now, getting to the important part here, to assess the current market conditions for buyers, current owners and intending sellers, information was collected for houses in each suburb which compares the number of potential buyers to the number of intending sellers and then factors in the total stock of houses currently for sale on the market. If all these conditions suit buyers, the market is set to be favourable for them to buy a property at a good price, and likewise, if these conditions suit owners, the market is said to be favourable for them to sell a property quickly and at a good price. Capalaba, Forest Lake and Victoria Point right now are favourable for buyers, while Heritage Park and Tanamara have less stock on the market and more buyers, so it's more favourable for those selling their properties. So your negotiation skills will have to be a tad sharper in these two suburbs. And remember, if conditions are more favourable to sellers, you need to move quickly in these markets with strong offers. This doesn't just mean having the highest fiscal offer, but also think about making your terms and conditions more enticing. Next up is the short-term market movement trends. Now, this graph shows that each suburb has strong cash flow potential for houses. Strong cash flow potential is indicated when current rental demand is greater than the supply of rental properties and is likely to rise further, resulting in higher rental yields and lower vacancy rates. Now, onto the medium to long-term price growth outlook. The potential rental yield. Now, this is an estimate of the potential rental yield for houses in the suburbs based on expected rental demand and forecasted price movements over the next 2 to 3 years. Now, the 3-year short-term and 5-year medium-term growth outlooks show the price growth outlook for the type of property in the suburb. You can see from the tables that growth in these selected suburbs ranges from moderate in the short term to strong in the 3 to 5-year medium term. Moderate growth indicates that there is potential for median prices to rise by an average of less than 10% per annum over the forecast period. And strong growth indicates that there is potential for median prices to rise by an average of 10% per annum or more over the forecast period. The 5 to 10-year growth prediction is a prediction of the long-term growth potential of the suburb when compared to the forecasted long-term performance potential of other suburbs in the same capital city or region over the same time period and for the type of dwelling specified. The comparison area for these suburbs is the Greater Brisbane area. The prediction identifies whether the suburb has the potential to become a growth leader, an average performer, or a growth lagger during the typical buy and hold time window of 5 to 10 years in the future when compared to the average forecasted long-term performance potential of all suburbs in the comparison area. All of these suburbs are growth leaders. So when we put all this information together, using the current market conditions, we can start to delineate which suburbs you might want to focus on for your budget by using the current low and high buy prices when translated into the suburb's median price. We can also see which markets are currently buyers or sellers markets and the current yields that are being achieved. By using the short-term trends, we can see which suburbs have experienced positive or negative price movements over the past 12 months. We can also see the short-term growth trends and short-term potential for cash flow. Suburbs that haven't had a spike in recent growth are likely to perform better over the suburbs who have had a higher amount of recent price growth movements. If we then focus on the medium to long-term outlooks, we can determine the 3 to 5 year growth forecasts and the longer 5 to 10 year growth predictions. In summary, these 5 suburbs have improving prospects for capital growth and rental growth shifting from moderate to strong and strong to strong respectively. And there we are, our team's top 5 picks for suburbs for late 2023 in the southern and eastern Greater Brisbane area for the budget range of $700,000 to $850,000. As always, remember, markets move in as little as weeks and or months. So always recheck the data and stay on top of your property research. And if you have any questions or want to know anything more, you can call us here at Property Navigation anytime or jump online to propertynavigation.com.au and book in one of our free 1-hour sessions where you can ask any and all of the questions you have. If this data and research approach has been really interesting for you, or you want to jump over and check out our whole video on property research and data, check out this video here where you can learn to do it yourself. Until next time, happy property navigating.